Hi everyone and welcome back to the StudyTube Project. My name's Lydia. I have a YouTube channel called Lydia Violeta and today I'm going to be taking you through the basics of watercolour painting. In this video, I'm going to show you the basic equipment that you need, the basic technique that you need, and at the end I'm going to insert a time lapse that I did earlier of me painting a few flowers just to show you how it all fits together. So firstly, starting with equipment, you're obviously going to need some paints. My favourite watercolour paints are the Winsor & Newton ones. This is the studio set and it's just 36 half pans. So with watercolour paints, it's definitely worth investing in some good quality ones. Lots of the cheaper sets will have 50 pans, 100 pans, but don't get enticed by the variety of colours because the beauty of watercolour, just like most paints, is that you can mix colours to create more, so it's better to invest in a smaller set of watercolours but that are better quality. Next, you'll obviously need some brushes. The ones that I have at the moment are the Daler Rowney ones, and just like with paints, it's better to invest in fewer brushes that are better quality. Specifically, it's worth looking for sets or individual brushes that are this shape. I find that this shape with the point at the top is best because they're most versatile, so if you press them down like this, you can get quite a thick stroke, but if you use just the point, you can get quite a thin stroke. Alternatively, some of my other favourite brushes are the Derwent water brushes, and these are quite a fun little contraption because you put the water in the brush handle and then squeeze to get the water out and release it onto your paints. Next, you're going to need some paper. So with watercolour paper, the thicker the better really, because obviously water can dissolve paper quite easily, lift it up, make it go a weird texture, so it's worth going for something that's around 300 GSM. This is just some paper from Cassart. It's thick, it does the job. It's not the best that you can get, but if you have a higher budget, it's definitely worth investing in 100% cotton paper because that is the best for watercolours. You're also going to need some pots of water. You'll need two preferably, one that you can wash the paint off your brushes with and another pot of clean water that you can just wet your brushes with. You're also just going to need some paper towels, some toilet roll, anything like that to dab off excess water. I know this stuff is in short supply at the moment, so definitely go sparingly with this part. So next, onto technique, but I just want to emphasize firstly that everybody does watercolor painting differently, just like every other form of art. So I personally have never really been taught how to do watercolor painting. I've just learned through trial and error, whereas other people might be professional artists that know the exact technique that you should be using. But I just do what works best for me, and I'd really recommend doing this when starting out watercolor painting. Just go through the process of trial and error. I know it can be frustrating, but it's the only way to really find what works for you and what result you like in the end. But firstly, before you start doing any painting, you need to activate your paint. So just dabbing some water on the pans that you want to use and leaving them for a couple minutes just to activate the pigment. So the clue is in the name really with watercolours, and it's all about how much water you use. So the more water you use, the less pigmented your colour will be, so the lighter your colour will be. And then the less water you use, the more pigmented the colour will be and the darker the colour will appear. However, it's not a good idea to go organs blazing and use hardly any water to get the darkest possible colour. You'll get a much better result if you just build up light layers of colour. You'll add depth to your painting, whereas if you just do one really dark wash, you're just going to end up with quite a flat looking painting. Your initial layer of paint, no matter how much water you use, is normally not that dark anyway, so layering all round is just the best way forward. The key to layering is to let each layer dry properly. If you don't let it dry properly, all the colours are just going to run into each other and it's just going to end up looking like a bit of a splodgy mess. You can do great techniques with layering colours and you can get different results from it, but if you're just looking to do a basic painting, then you're going to want to wait for them to dry in between. You can blend colours differently as well, so my personal preference is blending the colours while they're still wet, but other people like to leave the colours to dry first and then using a clean brush dipped in some clean water, blending the two colours together. But once again, the key there is to let them dry properly. My final piece of advice is use a reference when you're starting out. I never paint without a reference, whether that's a photograph, another person's drawing, a follow along video, it doesn't really matter, but while you're starting out, it's a good idea to have a visual guide in front of you. So yeah, those are the basic pieces of equipment that you need and also the basic technique that you need. There's not a lot to watercolour painting really. You will learn best by just having a go and learning through trial and error, as I said earlier. Now I've just got a short time lapse of me painting a few flowers. Flowers my absolute favourite thing to paint because I just love the versatility of colour that you can get and the different techniques that you can use, and I thought it would be a good way for me to show you how all of the techniques come together to form a really nice painting. So I'm just going to quickly sign off before that time lapse, so make sure to subscribe to this channel because there's lots of content coming from me and from the other creators and I wouldn't want you to miss out. But bye guys!